a very powerful man here in town. He paid the firm $250,000 to blow me off. Mr. Carter came over and put his arm around me. He said, "Tony, are you gonna cry?" I said, "Mr. Carter, I might." He slapped me on the back, says, "Tony, welcome to the Dalton business. Let's go out lunch and talk about it."
How do you see you? Because when I talk to people about you, I always tell them how you got incredible people skills, and I'd like to know where that came from. When you and I were negotiating, I was like, we really are collaborating. We both want the same thing. It's very different than what a lot of people think when you go into very hard negotiating. It's like he wanted to sell it and I wanted to buy it. Now, how do we move from A to B, right? But just watching how he interacted with me throughout the process, I go, man, this guy's he's got great people skills. He's got great connection skills. He was always so thoughtful and so talk a little bit about how you see you. Do you see yourself as a specialist in what?
Yeah, my father was a barber. My mother worked in a savings and loan, and we had a household full of love and caring, and I was always very energetic and excited about doing things. And when you're energetic and you're pursuing things, you fail a lot. And so what I learned from my folks is I still had their love, and it's okay to fail. And I learned from each of those failures and went on to do other things. And but you mentioned a minute ago about specializing, and I wholeheartedly agree. Whatever you're doing, you should know everything you can know about that thing, whatever it is, whether it's menial or magnificent. You really need to master what you're doing, and that's what I did in the world of office leasing. And I remember I kind of lied my way into the job. They said, "Do you have experience doing office leasing?" And I had done an office lease. It wasn't much. I said, "Yes, I do." They didn't ask me to elaborate. So I got this job, and my very first day on the job, keep in mind, we're doing a 52-story tower, a 42-story tower, and I'm there in Denver, Colorado, and walked in my conference room, and there's this gentleman there, and he's flanked by a lawyer, flanked by an accountant, flanked by a designer, flanked by somebody taking notes. And I sat down to negotiate a lease, and I slid my lease over to him, and he slid me back a red line about 3 times the size of my lease. And I said, "Mr. Cushman, maybe we should have started with your lease." And he was not amused, but that gentleman was John Cushman. And that was my first major office lease with John Cushman. So he took me to school on that. It was very exciting. But so for me, doing business is all about preparation, the ready aim part of what we do in life. Get ready for it, think through it, think about, this is what I think. What do they think? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
And do I want to do this? And if we do, let's figure out a way to do it.
So you started building commercial offices, right?
Yeah, I was always working for somebody.
Okay.
So I was working in brokerage. I was working with Merrill Lynch Realty. And then I was working for Urban Investment Development Company, 4th largest developer in the country at that time. And then I was working for Victor Johnson at Aladdin. He had Metro Center here. So I was always working for somebody. And then in 86, I launched my own company. So now I'm working for me.
Okay.
And so I took the same energy that I brought to my jobs working for somebody else, but saying, if I'm going to do this, got my name on it. I'm going to make sure it is the best I can possibly make it.
Yeah. So at what point did the mayor of Nashville come to you? Because if you watch the documentary, I don't know if that's still on your website, but there's an incredible documentary that the mayor of Nashville really wanted to revitalize downtown Nashville. And he came to you and he said, "I want you to do this for me. I want you to build this new high rise." Is that right?
Yeah. So in the very fortuitous event for Nashville, this gentleman named Phil Bredesen, who had graduated with a degree in quantum physics. So he was a real brainiac. His wife got a job at something called Hospital Corporation of America. So they came here with all their possessions in a van, And he didn't have a job, so he sat in the library at night, Ben West Library, and read about Nashville's business, which was healthcare. And he said, okay, I think I got it, because he's so smart. Started a healthcare company, made $50 million. Started another one, made $50 million. Did this over and over again, kind of like what Coach does in his sleep. And then he decided to give back to the community, and he ran for mayor. He lost. And he lost to a guy who wasn't a particularly good mayor. I like the guy, but he was a one-termer, and the next time he won. And so if you all know the 86 Tax Recovery Act, where the S&Ls got wiped out, real estate got wiped out, everything got wiped out. Well, I was in the real estate business, and so it was a very difficult time. And I asked for an appointment with Phil Bredesen, and went to see him. He's the CEO of the city. And I said, Mayor, I've got land, I've got skills, I'd like to develop something. What would you like me to develop? And he said, apartments. And I went, well, that's the one thing I don't do. Can we do something else? He said, Tony, if you'll do apartments, I'll move heaven and earth to make that happen. And I went, well, that's more than I got right now. Let's do that. And if you're interested later how that all came to be, I'll be happy to tell you about the apartments. But that's how it happened. It was Phil Bredesen's idea. I was an unwilling, unenthusiastic participant. I didn't want to do it, but there was nothing else to do. You know, I had a sign that I wore that said, "I'll work for food." And that's the way it is when you're in a bad market, and the industry that you're in is on its back. You adapt.
So, and that became the Cumberland, which is, if you look out, it's literally right over here, right?
Yes.
All right.
Right
So, so when you do this, because a lot of people think, well, how do you do this? Like, you know, this is what I stay up at night thinking, like, how do you build the 505? Where does it start? You get a vision, and we'll kind of walk us through the steps, because there's a vision of it, then there's a capital raise of it, and then you build it. I mean, walk us through kind of how it works.
Well, yeah, can I start with a bad story, a horror story? Anybody like horror story? So I was in the leasing business. As I mentioned, I was very good at leasing, and had a great business representing companies and leasing. And then the law firm that represented me, I'll let it remain nameless, asked me to build them a building. And so that was the opportunity that I was seeking. So I pivoted immediately to, I'm going to be my own developer. So I bought this piece of land where the Cumberland was, and bought it out of bankruptcy from GE, and started demolishing it and leasing the building. Got half of it leased because I was good at leasing. And I did a deal with a gentleman named Frank Carter in Atlanta. If anybody in Atlanta knows Frank Carter, Carter and Associates, Colony Square. I mean, he was a legendary guy. We did this deal. Frank Carter is my partner. Metropolitan Life is providing the 50% partner and providing the capital. And I'm in Atlanta. I'm so excited. And I'm in Colony Square. We're on our way to the Cherokee Country Club to have lunch, and we signed all the documents, and we're on our way out of the space, and the receptionist says, Tony, your office wants to talk to you. I'm like, I can't talk to my office right now. Would you tell them I'll call them back? And they said, it's very urgent. And so I picked up the phone, and I learned, and the gentleman, the managing partner of the law firm, is on the phone, tells me that he's canceling my lease and going with somebody else. Well, unbeknownst to me, a very powerful man here in town, I'll let him remain nameless too. He paid the firm $250,000 to blow me off. And so I'm on the phone, and I put the phone down, and Mr. Carter came over and put his arm around me. He said, Tony, are you going to cry? I said, Mr. Carter, I might. I told him what happened. He slapped me on the back, says, Tony, welcome to the development business. Let's go have lunch and talk about it. So that's how my starting in the real estate and the development business on my own started. And so that was not good. And then it got worse from there. And but I will tell you, you've got to love something that you want to do, because it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right.
So you kind of come into the day thinking it's going to be a fight, but we're going to find a way to win.
That's right.
That's your kind of
That's
mindset.
right. I have no delusions of grandeur or that it's going to be easy.